Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast, a 10-6 win over the Pirates. Dare I say, 4.5 games out of first place, and the vibes are back. The YouTube chat, Cody's up with Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo. The beer bat's coming. The legs are here. Good vibes are everywhere. Design Love says good vibes. I go down the chat. Who else I had? Someone else had good vibes.
Shane says, "Don't let us
Peter
start
Mitchell,
vibing,
good vibes.
baby.
Yeah, Shane
don't
says,
let us,
don't let us start
don't let
vibing.
us start vibing.
Peter says, good
Don't
vibes.
win tomorrow and then let me go to beautiful historic Wrigley Field on Friday and just have an absolute day. Don't let me do it. Don't let me do it."
Robbie agrees with me on anything I say. Craig says, hit the like button, and Nathan says, vibe. All vibes right now.
All
Fly
vibes,
the W
baby.
from Justin. So the vibes are back.
Vibes are
we
back.
hope you're going to be vibing with us for the next hour here on the live YouTube chat. If you're listening to this later in podcast form on Spotify or Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, please make sure you give us the nice 5-star review, the old thumbs up, everything nice, positive. We appreciate that. And don't forget to go back and check out the YouTube feed, because that's the best way to check out what we're doing and enjoy kind of the chat and everybody being a community, having fun. We really enjoy that, and hopefully you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports page there while you're there, and so you don't miss anything. Like
Good
Cody's
stuff.
beer bet, he doesn't have any more pocket pilsners in the fridge here at CHGO.
Yeah, we
So
ran
tonight, after a Cubs win, he's breaking out
3-1-2.
the old trusty 3-1-2.
Craig asked, "Did Cody get some sun recently?" I was at the beach on Saturday.
You were.
I wasn't like on the beach, but I was by the beach. But I was playing
You
basketball.
were near the beach.
Yeah, I was in the sun Saturday morning for a couple hours.
Robbie wants you to shotgun that beer. No, it's the
no,
beer
no.
bat.
It's the beer
He
bat,
does
baby.
the kind pour, and anytime he's under 15 seconds, we're proud of him. And yesterday
one
it was
deserves
13. Yesterday it was 13,
less
but you've been
than
doing the
10,
pocket
honestly.
pilsner. So I don't know what it's going to be with the old wheat ale, the trusty wheat ale, the 3-1-2 from Goose Island.
Yeah,
But it'll be interesting.
I gotta say, like, I'm gonna put a little pressure on myself here to get under 10 because this game,
Oh, no pressure.
Foreign Empire.
Foreign Empire with a super chat already. $2 says, if you get it to 13.4 on the chug, I'll donate another $10.
Okay, I will try. Go ahead. I'm gonna do the pour.
Don't drink it yet, though.
Okay.
Because I want to remind people in the chat what I'd really like to see catch on. What I'd love to have catch on is we do this live, but at home you have somebody recording you with a beer bat trying to beat the video of Cody doing it at the same time.
Yes.
And then you tweet it to us. I'd like to see the tweet-on-tweet action, if you will.
I like that idea a lot.
I agree.
Yeah.
We started basically trying to get that going last night. No one tweeted at us though, if you
Somebody,
did,
I can't remember. Somebody yesterday
missed
said
it.
they were going to do it. The wifey was going to make it happen, they said. James Ward says, Cody in shorts, this is an easy 10.5 on this chug. He's feeling good, showing skin. So much confidence going into this. Craig's predicting 11.5. Brian says, after this win, time to be better with a 12. Chug challenge near, and that's what we call it, the chug challenge.
Hell yeah, baby.
Here's the super chat from Fernando. Chug, chug, chug. I'm here on time.
He's here on
Let me get the
time, unlike
stopwatch
yesterday.
going.
Speaking of pours, will you just look at this pour? You don't see a lot of foam there.
There's almost no foam.
God.
That is a beauty.
Shout out to my guy Mike Dubs in the chat. Tomorrow's his birthday. Let's just pretend that this win was for his birthday. But also, Stro Show tomorrow. Got a good chance to sweep, I think.
Nathan wants 12.43. Somebody else lower down said they want to see
3.12.
Ron S. says he wants a 3.12. Now, that would be your all-time record.
To do this in 3
I
seconds?
think it's like 10-something's your record, right?
Yeah, 10 seconds is my, like 10.4 seconds.
I'm going to chug filtered water along with him.
So you're shooting for 13.4.
Filtered water, Luke
And if you
Stuckmeyer.
get
This is
13.4.
filtered water right out of the cooler over there.
Another $10 from Foreign Empire for 13.4. That's
13.4. I'm going to wait till I see the first
All right. Well,
drop hit his lips.
all right. Well, I guess we'll get this going. You know how I got to do the dedication.
Oh, yeah, do your dedication.
This beer bat is to all of us who didn't shut the game off because, man, did I want to. Oh, I mean, we couldn't because, like, this is what we're paid
But I
to
did
do.
want to.
But I did want to. If I would have been at home, maybe I would have just left it on as, like, background noise and maybe not fully paid attention. But If you kept the game on and you stuck it out tonight, this is for you because that was an incredible 5-1 comeback. Season-changing 5-1 comeback, potentially. Don't let me talk myself into it.
Robbie claims he's got a spreadsheet of all your beer chugs. Now, this I would like to see. A lot of people predicting 13-4, 12-8 coming on there. Yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
This should probably, the Palatine Pounder should probably get a slight donation or a dedication on this beer bat chug.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They always want to call it a beer bug.
The Palatine Pounder, Mike Tauchman, what a game. Like,
well, yeah, we'll get to him.
The big hit, the catch in center field that honestly saved the game, and he started the rally that led to insurance runs in, the 8th?
Yeah.
So,
all right,
dude, I got nothing but good things to say about that guy.
We're going to talk about him in a second. RWB says 13.1, Cody. Joel wants 9 seconds flat. Peter, you're not too late because you're just in time for the beer chug. Are you ready?
Are we
Cody
ready?
Delmendo after a 10-6 win over the Pirates, 4.5 games out.
Here we go.
And he's off. He's at 1-2. Oh, the counter is going right on the live chat. This is one of his fastest ever. Delmendo down the final stretch. Down the stretch he comes in. Boom! 9-7-4 on my clock. 10-11 on the official counter.
Either way, that's
another $10 in our pocket, let me tell you.
Oh, my God.
And yes, Barb, we are live.
I would average it out, and I would say that's a 10-second.
Yeah.
I would give it an average and say that was at least, at worst case, that was a 10-second chug.
Oh, my God.
Please, I hope somebody's chugged along to that video.
Ugh.
Another good win. How's that feeling?
There it is.
That is 100.
We had to get it.
Well, if
under
Corey
10.
Friedman is home, that needs to be clipped off.
Nick G had a 9-9 on his personal timer. So yeah, it's around that 10-second, right under that 10-second mark. So
Christopher Budick says, nice
a
job, dude. Craig, wow. Pressure's on. Cody steps up, says Nathan.
Listen.
Super chat. Way better than I thought.
He gave us 20.
B-hug is crazy tonight. Let's vibe, baby. He gave us 20
Hell yeah,
for an
baby.
Empire.
Let's fucking go, man. I love the chat tonight.
All right, let's get to our DraftKings king of the game. You mentioned him, the Palatine Pounder, the Arlington Heights Assassin, the Mid-Suburban League Mauler, Mike Tauchman, 3 for 5, 2 RBI, the game-winning hit, and he scored 3 times. I don't know what his long-term future is in a Cubs uniform. It's not like he's a 24-year-old player. All I know is if you're trying to win this season and somehow get this division and get into the postseason, Tauchman needs to be playing.
Well,
he needs to be playing on this year's team. That much I know.
What's funny about Tauchman is that for even during the good times in April and obviously, going into May, everyone's like, Morel, Mervis, like, we need a spark. We need a spark.
Yeah, right.
And,
Morel
had the 9 homers in 12 games, whatever. But, like, Tauchman has been nothing but Tauchman has been nothing but consistent since he got here, all right? I tweeted this out a half hour ago after the inning where they scored 4 runs for insurance. In 83 plate appearances this year, he's hitting .299, on base of .415, slugging is .343, whatever. But a 120 weighted runs created plus. Like, this guy was in Iowa. The guy hadn't had a good year since like 2019 with the Yankees. And we were talking about, before he came up, we're talking about who's that 4th outfielder for this team. And like he's been that even like during all the tough stretches and stuff. Like you can't sit here and complain about him with the Cubs. You just can't. He has done everything you could have asked him to. He walks. He's got a 15% walk rate. Doesn't strike out a ton. Only striking out like 19% of his play appearances as well. And he's getting on base, whether it's walking or by, again, he's getting hits. He's hitting .299 in those 83 play appearances. Like the guy has been unreal, and he's taken the leadoff role and kind of ran with it.
He's done the seemingly impossible. The godfather of our podcast, Michael Collada, says, I don't often smile, but tonight I am smiling. He's put a smile on Collada's face.
Wow.
I saw someone in the chat asking when we put up the Tauchman statue. Not quite yet, but we're working on it. We're having sketches drawn up.
We might just have it up here. I don't know if we'll put it at Beautiful Historic.
Well, I tell you what, we get the people at Foco. Maybe they'll make us a Tauchman bobblehead.
That'd be sick. We need to get him on the show. Chicago.
I got to find out where he lives in Arlington Heights.
Yeah.
Maybe he wants to have brunch at, Egg Harbor Cafe there on Northwest Highway. I could meet him over there for that. Have a little lunch, some, cinnamon roll pancakes before he goes to the ballpark.
Can I go?
Yeah, come on over. I just got to find out where he's at. Maybe he wants to do one of those, Arlington Heights, we have the downtown alfresco dining where they close off the streets and all the restaurants are on the street. Maybe he just wants to hang out there.
Well, either way, it'd be pretty awesome to get a guy like him on this show because I think he's becoming.
We should dig into that.
He's becoming a fan favorite. If you weren't a fan of him before tonight, you definitely are now. And my guy, or our guy, Dom Frederick, tweeted this. He tweeted 3 pictures after he got that. I think it was the big hit to help in the comeback. He tweeted a picture of Tauchman, and then with that was a picture of Chris Coughlin, and then it was that meme of Pam from The Office that said these two are the same or something like that. And it's like, yes, like he is filling in as that that fourth outfielder who's getting the big hits when you need them and just doing his role, the role that he's asked to do. He is doing it at an elite level, man. Like, he's not going to hit you 20 home runs or anything like that, but he just gives you quality plate appearances. And, like, that's why I enjoy watching him play, because he doesn't do much that hurts you.
I'm trying to think of somebody he reminds me of, like a former Cubs player. The only name that just popped into my mind, and they're different players, but it reminds me of Reed Johnson just because of he's made a couple of great catches, and offensively he did some nice things. That's the guy that kind of pops in my. Reed Johnson had bounced around the majors a little bit.
I like the Chris Coughlin reference.
Chris
honestly.
Coughlin is
really
one too. Yeah,
he likes to go the opposite way a lot.
I would say that those guys probably more accomplished major league players when they came to the Cubs than Tauchman. Not that he hasn't done something great just by getting to the big leagues and being a part of some teams and having some decent seasons, but that'd be interesting. I'm curious who people think he would be comparable to at this point, but he's been very popular. I think I saw our guy Mike Dubb say it's talk him.
Talk him.
That's the new thing. Add him to everything.
I'll tell you,
coming into tonight,
Doug DeCenzo.
Into tonight, Tauchman had a 0.3 FWAR, and that's how, like, the last 2 years, or he didn't play in 2022, but in 2021 and 2020 combined, he had a 0.3 FWAR. So he's already played to the value of his last 2 seasons played in the major leagues.
He's made us forget Rafi Ortega.
Yeah. In 2019, that's like the one real season that he's did anything. When he was with the Yankees, he had a 2-point FWAR for them in 296 play appearances, hit 13 homers, 47 RBIs, 277, 361, 504 slugging. Like, he hasn't brought that slug to this team, but like he's basically doing the on base and the hitting part. And again, the defense has been solid for the guy that he is. Like, there's nothing that you can really get upset about the guy about. You know what I mean? Like,
no, he sparked a dead Cubs offense tonight.
Yeah,
he made me feel a lot better about the Bellinger playing first base coming back tonight, because I was
that idea, like they were saying, well, Tauchman's playing good. We don't want to just,
right. I didn't want to take a positive part of your team and make it a negative, by taking arguably your best defensive player and putting him in a new position.
Right.
Like making one hole out of a new one, but
he's not as good as Cody Bellinger defensively, but Bellinger's having trouble running straight ahead. So he's not going to be as good defensively in center field if he comes back and plays right now. So
yeah, I feel a lot better about it.
He's been great. And, I mean, the Cubs were down 5-1 in this game. They were 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position, and all of a sudden, they finally started getting – by the way, their first 7 runs, no extra base hits.
Yeah.
Which is, what I've been saying the last couple of days. Would somebody please – that's why you need Bellinger back. That's why you let Morel swing from his heels when he wants to, because – they desperately need that power of like how a 3-run homer can change a game. It's nearly impossible to do what they did tonight, to come back and end up with 10 runs when you're not getting extra base hits is just not getting extra base hits and not hitting home runs. 10 runs is something that is really difficult to keep going.
Yeah.
But this was a big one because it was against the Pirates and it was on the heels of yesterday's nice win.
Yeah. You know, Tauchman with the big hit, to make it 5-4, during that inning when they were potentially making the comeback, I'm pretty sure me, you, and Kevin both just sat there like, oh, how are they going to ruin this inning? Because going into that inning, they were 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. And I said it to you after they did make the comeback. Man, the post game's at least going to be a little bit more funner now if they find a way to lose this. But I was telling you, like, before that happened, I was planning to come on here and complain about how this team can't hit with runners in scoring position. You got no power. All this, it's like the same thing every single night.
But
pure
Cody,
insanity. But
the confidence was also there because at some point tonight you took a warm 3-1-2 out of a cabinet and put it in the refrigerator, and that was before the comeback.
That is true. I did in a way.
So you still had hope. You still had hope because you still
thing,
went to that cabinet and took the warm beer out and said, I need to put this in the fridge.
Yeah.
Just in case.
I have this thing now, or real quick, I have this thing now where I make the graphics when they're losing to try and reverse jinx them into winning. So I made a bunch of losing graphics and a losing video today that may or may not have
because
played.
last year we blamed you for a loss.
Yeah.
You had a winning one made up.
Because you sent the score graphic before the game was over.
And it went sour.
So now I'm doing it the
Kevin's
opposite
learned
way.
his lesson.
Yeah.
Doing it the opposite way.
What I was going to say, though, is that...
Oh, sorry.
Well, no, you're fine. But what I was getting at is, we sit here and complain about the Cubs bullpen a lot, but that Pirates bullpen really, imploded in that inning. Because Beto was actually, it was classic, opponent's pitcher making major league debut. He has terrible minor league numbers and comes up and shoves against the Cubs. How many times have we seen it? Way too many damn times for my own liking. And the Cubs were able to get one off him, but they didn't get the big hit. Mm-hmm. But then Contreras, a guy who they had brought, who did fine in his first inning, but in the second inning, he started walking dudes and giving up hard contact. He gave up 2 hits to start that inning, I believe, to Swanson and Morel. Mervis hit a deep fly ball that ended up being caught. And then I think it was Gomes walked. And then they walked in a run because of the pitch clock violation for Madrigal.
Yes.
Madrigal was up. It was a 3-1 count. And they gifted the Cubs a run because of the pitch clock.
Which was great.
And then Tauchman comes up, gets the big hit, just the single up the middle, hard hit ball, and 2-run score.
The Tauchinator.
The Tauchinator, yeah.
If you will.
And
yes, in the chat, the Brewers have lost 6 in a row.
Cardinals have lost 5 in a row, too.
Cardinals are having a horrible season.
We have to mention it, yes.
Right?
Yes. Hate to see it.
The division is trying to reel you back in.
For sure. But also...
just when you thought you were out,
they reeled me back in.
This win did feel a little different, though. It did.
I can't remember the last time they had one of these where it was 5-1, and I was like, "Let's go get ice cream."
Yeah, it felt different.
We didn't get ice cream, but I thought about it.
Yeah.
It's
Colada, we don't stinks.
even Colada.
Who was it in the chat that was saying if they're ever invited on the show, they'll drink a Jack and Coke tall in 10 seconds.
Okay.
No ice. Well, save that for the the meetups and
that's
the
aggressive.
maybe even for a Bears tailgate.
Yeah.
Or
if you're going to beautiful historic Wrigley Field on Friday,
maybe a meetup.
Would come to the meetup that we've quietly been promoting a little bit.
Right.
I'll be at Murphy's a couple hours before. I'll be sitting in left field.
If I can get a car and get down there, I'm going to try and make that.
Anyway,
it's a long story.
As far as the wild card, the Cubs are 3.5 back of Milwaukee, who's right below San Francisco. So they're in the wild card. They're still 5.5 back of the last spot, but they're in it both ways. National League just has been bad. If you're not the Atlanta Braves or the the Arizona Diamondbacks or Los Angeles Dodgers. Like, you're just in a mix of teams, honestly. So, yeah, it was a big win, man. And I said this last night, like, last night's win felt like the Cubs actually took advantage of an opportunity. They're playing a division rival that's in first place. You're 9 games under, but you're somehow still in the division race, and you have the opportunity to cut into that deficit, and they've picked up 2 games in 2 days. So credit to them, man. Like, things haven't been great since April ended, but they've won 4 out of 5. They won the series in San Francisco. They've won this series, and now you have a chance to actually sweep. They've fooled us before, but you couldn't ask for the better guy to be on the mound tomorrow.
No, they got a chance to cut it to 3.5 games with their ace on the mound.
Yeah. They got to take advantage tomorrow. Absolutely got to do it.
By the way, nice to see the offense come back from down 5-1. The floodgates open without home runs. They get it done by basically nickel and diming their way back into the game to score 10 runs. But none of it is possible if Drew Smyly doesn't hang in there on a night when he didn't have his best stuff. But he was still able to give you innings to get you to the point where the guys could come in from the bullpen and do it. Leiter came in and did exactly what you needed him to do. ALLCITY came in and did exactly what you needed him to do. They got the job done. But you had to have Drew Smyly still go the 6 innings, the 5 earned runs. I mean, he gave up 9 hits.
Yeah.
But that was a veteran guy just saying, all right, I'm going to suck it up, and I'm going to try and keep this as low and close as possible. 5 runs.
Yeah.
It was not his best start, but you know what, like Joe Girardi was saying, listen, it wasn't a great start, but if he's your 5th starter, which is maybe he started the season, 4th or 5th starter, however you want to look at it. Now you look at the way he's pitched this season, probably their 3rd starter.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's how it has to be. You got to, guys, you don't let it escalate into a 9-run outing.
Yeah.
Because if you did, it wouldn't have happened this way.
Drew Smyly showed a lot of guts tonight. I think that's a good way to explain it, because I won't lie, like, I thought after the 5th inning that he should have been done. I mean, he gave up the 3 homers. There's a lot of hard contact. There were a couple deep fly balls that luckily stayed in the park. I mean, Austin Hedges hit one out, man. Like, that guy's the Pirates version of Tucker Barnhart. No offense, Tucker. But you look at the numbers, they're basically the same. Like, credit to Smyly for just hanging in there and eating some innings. That way it did save the bullpen. And the Cubs needed that because their middle relief guys haven't been that great.
And Collada's right. Despite all the hits, his pitch count wasn't horrible, even though after the first inning I thought, well, he's going to last like 4 innings tops.
Right. So I think that's the thing that puts like the seasoned veterans above like the young guys who are trying to make their way, is they have all this experience and they know what they got to do to try and help a team win. And it's not like the young guys don't also know that, but Drew Smyly, this isn't the first time that Drew Smyly's had a start like close to this at all.
Right.
Not necessarily just with the Cubs, but just throughout his career. He did what he had to do to keep the Cubs in it after, giving up 5 runs. And obviously you needed the offense to score runs. And tonight they did. So I will give Drew Smyly a little credit just for that, because again, I thought he should have came out after 5, and he ended up, or after 4, honestly. I didn't even know if I wanted him to go out there for the 5th because it was the 3rd time through the order. He goes out there, gets a 1, 2, 3, 5th, I believe, and then I think he worked around some trouble in the 6th, and that's when the Cubs started making the comeback in the bottom of the 6th. So, I wasn't gonna blame Drew Smyly for this loss. Like, if they would have lost like 5-1 or whatever.
Right.
I wasn't gonna blame Drew Smyly for the loss, even though he gave up the 3 homers.
Would have blamed the offense for runners in scoring position.
Yes, and going up against a very unexperienced pitcher and not doing what you got to do to help your pitcher out. Of course, I wouldn't have given him all the credit or anything like that. I'm just saying that, like, it wasn't necessarily his fault if they had lost this game, or it wasn't necessarily his fault that they were losing 5-1 in the 6th inning. The Cubs had opportunities, and they didn't take advantage. But they eventually did start taking advantage. And honestly, the Pirates helped them out a little bit too. The last 2 days, honestly, the Pirates have helped the Cubs out a lot. And you're seeing the flaws in this Pirates team. And I'm starting to see why they lost the series against the A's and just haven't really played well the last few weeks. But they've managed to stay around 500 and hang around there. Credit to them. Credit to like the young guys that they have there and what they're quote unquote building or whatever. But this Cubs team is better than them. I'm sorry. I just after these 2 games, you can clearly see that the Cubs
they have
are
better pitching. They have some guys that can hit home runs.
That's what the Cubs lack right now. That's what the Pirates have.
Perhaps the Pirates have a little bit better power for sure. They've hit 3 home runs tonight, but also they're like 12th out of 15 in the National League in homers, though. Gary, like Boog said that at the beginning of the broadcast tonight. Whenever McCutchen hit that first homer in the first at bat of the game, so it's not like they're hitting homers all the time, but they do have guys who can, you know what I mean? So
I'm laughing at Gary in the chat because he's the one negative thing that I said during the game. It was the same thing I was asking. Why was Marquis talking about
O'Neal Cruz bobblehead?
His bobbleheads with like 4 outs to go in the game, and it was like a 12-day-old story.
Yeah. I don't
Anyways,
know why they were talking
it was a
about
one-run ball game.
Yeah, in the 8th inning. I didn't.
Hey, by the way,
against the first-place team.
Did you know that the Pirates had a bobblehead day a couple weeks ago? Back to the ball game.
Cool.
Yeah, come on, guys.
What was your favorite part of that?
It was like they were told they had to get that in for some reason.
Yeah.
It was a little strange.
Yeah.
But it's always sunny in Wrigleyville, and it's always sunny on the CHGO Cubs podcast, as in Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary.
Yeah, I know our guy Corey. Corey, he loves this place because he lives very close to it.
Right.
Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, Luke. Judgment-free.
Judgment-free.
All right. A place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer and vibes. One-stop shop for all your cannabis needs, no matter where you are on your cannabis journey. Easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Great, transparent loyalty program. Sunnyside Rewards, Illinois' favorite dispensary from city to suburbs, Wrigleyville to River North, Champaign to South Beloit even. All right.
Wow.
Luke, which
the Talkinator. Mike Tauchman made me feel good.
Yeah, which made him feel good?
Who made me feel sunny this week? I would say Kyle Hendricks. First of all, Kyle Hendricks' outing made every Cubs fan feel sunny, right? Made you feel great.
Yeah. Strobe made me feel good Friday. I have a feeling he's going to make me feel good on tomorrow as well. So, Sunnyside House of Brands includes Mindy's, the best tasting gummy and chocolate edibles created by James Beard award-winning chef Mindy Siegel and Cresco Labs. Good News Gummies, rechargeable vape pen with a cart perfect for great moments with the crew. Another one called Cresco, reliably excellent cannabis, a consistent quality experience and availability of flower, vapes, concentrates, and pre-rolls, and a lot more through August. Head to Sunnyside, shop, and use code CHGO25. Again, CHGO25 at checkout for 25% off your total order. One use per customer. That's not only for new customers. Anyone can use our code at any time. So if you've already been there, you can use the code now. Pick up everything you need to elevate your summer. Must be 21 plus or older for an Illinois Med card holder.
And tell them Corey sent you.
And if anyone is confused by everything I just said, it's just a weed dispensary.
It's a sweet place.
Sunnyside.
Another great place is Lewis University. At Lewis University, many of our students are adults just like you. Many have full-time jobs and or families. All of them chose Lewis's supportive educational community to help make their transition back to school as easy as possible and earn a respected degree. They're 35 miles southwest of Chicago in Romeoville. Ranked as one of the U.S. News and World Report's top-tier colleges, Lewis partners with numerous employers for tuition discounts and offers evening, online, and blended formats to help you balance work, family, and education. Faculty bring real-world experience and instruction to the classroom, which is immediately relevant to your career. We can offer career support and academic resources for adult students. Whether you're looking to complete your bachelor's or master's degree or enroll in a professional certificate program, Lewis has the right program for you. Lewis offers several career-focused programs that will set you up for success. Just going to highlight one real quickly for you here. Lewis has a grad program in cybersecurity. That is something that is really growing these days. Lewis is a Department of Homeland Security Center of Academic Excellence in Cybersecurity, with providing students with scholarship funding not available elsewhere. Discover how a degree from Lewis can help you build a better world. Learn more at lewisu.edu/you-can-do-this. Very nice, Lewis.
And then maybe check out Sunnyside right after.
Check out Sunnyside.
There's nothing like college and weed.
You know what Sunnyside is great for? The old aches and pains. Maybe you got some cataracts forming on those eyes. It's always good for the cataracts.
Yeah.
Sunnyside.
Sunnyside.
It's always sunny at CHGO.
It is always sunny at CHGO.
So, a couple of updates before this great Cubs comeback win. 10-6 over the Pirates. Once down 5-1. And 1-for-8 with runners in scoring position. They come back. They win at 10-6. They're 4.5 games out of first. One update was more great news. Justin Steele, according to David Ross and Carter Hawkins during the broadcast, is on target to pitch Saturday against the Orioles. So it looks like Steele's coming back. Hopefully you get a ace-like performance out of Stroman tomorrow. And Steele comes back as good as ever. And with the way Hendricks pitched the last time, now you can see a path to how the Cubs could get back in this. Just in a couple days, you see in a bad division how hope can reel you in if you're a Cubs fan. So Steele to pitch this weekend. I thought the bullpen today was great. It's set up perfectly for Leiter, right? We saw Sawinski come up and we said, man, this is the only guy I want facing him right now.
And he struck him out.
They struck him out
because
he's been so good against left-handers. And then Alzolay, I want to see Alzolay grab that. I think he's really close to actually just being the guy.
I think he, like the last few games where it's the ninth inning and the Cubs lead.
I think he's their first choice. I think he's their first choice, but I just want to see him become the closer.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Well, I won't lie. The start of the ninth inning, it was a little shaky, and I know the Cubs were up 4 runs, but it was 10-6. We'd seen runs in this game.
Yeah, it's all right to do that.
So I was a little nervous, and he allowed 2 guys on. One got a hit, and one he walked to McCutchen, and then he was just shut everyone else down after that, and he's looked real good. I mean, tonight maybe not a great example of closer-esque, but he had a great save on Friday in the Stroman start in San Francisco. He didn't need to pitch yesterday, and I don't think he pitched on Saturday either. They won 4-0. But when I think about a true save situation, Friday was the last game where he really had that, and he was great in that role. And I think he's shown to be really good in general, just like late innings, high leverage, need to get the last 3 outs. He's given up runs. The worst game I can think of out from Alzolay this year is they were in Philadelphia, and he was in the game, and it was like the 7th inning he was in there, and he gave up a 2-run homer that gave the Phillies the lead. That's the only thing I can think of like when Alzolay has kind of ruined my day, I guess. But overall, though, you look at the numbers, he's been great. I think he's solidified himself in that role already. And at the very least, they don't really trust anyone else anyway outside of Leiter. So
yeah, I will say I would agree with Nathan saying that Merriweather's been.
Merriweather
his value has been increasing. Yeah. I just think if you get to a point where you're not competing, that he will not be here.
Yeah,
if you're not competing for the division. Timothy says there is a lot of hope. There's still too much talent for this team to not be competing for this division.
Yeah.
It shouldn't take much to compete for this division.
No,
it shouldn't. It shouldn't. Get back to 500. Let's start there.
Start there. Get to 500.
Get to the 500 mark and then see where you're at in the division. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that if you get back to 500, you're going to feel pretty good about your shot in the division.
You get back to 500 and you add in some of these guys coming back like Cody Hoyer.
But it's still a road back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're 7 under now?
Yeah, it's still a road back.
Still a road back. Still a lot to go. But if you can get back to 500 and on the way of getting back there, adding guys like Cody Hoyer, and maybe they do eventually call up Ben Brown, who had a great start today in Iowa, and Steele's coming back, so they're going to probably put Wesneski in the bullpen, and like maybe that bullpen starts to shape up the way you want. And who knows? Maybe some of these guys who were sent to Iowa that weren't pitching well, maybe they can get it figured out and can come up and be productive. On top of your offense that right now, is looking real hot because you scored double-digit runs the last 2 days. You won 2 of 3 against San Francisco, where you scored 4 on Saturday, scored 3 on Friday, so it's not crazy, but you still put up more than 1 or 2 runs. Like, honestly, over this last 5 games, like, the Cubs offense has been productive. They've been able to score runs via all kinds of ways, whether it was the home run like on Saturday or even last night. Tonight, they didn't need the home run. They were able to just get a bunch of hits, and put the ball in the right spot at the right time, and you credit them for doing that. But yeah, that's kind of like my thinking. Like, that's why when we did pregame yesterday, now is the time. Now, like, they needed to start this series like this. This is the best way they could have started the series. And now you take a ton of momentum into tomorrow.
I'll be honest, you got to win tomorrow.
You got to win tomorrow now. Like
make it your game. This is the one. Like 2 out of 3, you're gaining 1 game. Like, you need to win all 3 now.
You got to, especially with your ace.
With your ace on the mound,
number 1 starter going tomorrow.
Show up.
You got to win tomorrow, and you
because you stole one tonight.
Oh yeah, you definitely stole one tonight. You need to win tomorrow with the Orioles coming to town, and they're one of the best teams in the American League. So you gotta win tomorrow, because even if you lose tomorrow, then it goes back to 5.5 in the division. So it's
and the Orioles are coming.
Yeah,
like, the Orioles are a good team,
right? So
I don't know what you're going to do against the Orioles, but you have a chance to directly gain ground on the first place team. So
yeah, that's a 40-win ball club right now.
Yeah,
they're really good.
They're good.
One of 3 or 4 teams with 40 wins right now.
Yeah,
they're great.
So, and I think Barb said this is the worst division in baseball. No, the Sox division is the worst division in baseball, but it's close.
Yeah.
But at one point, I think the other day they had
it
was the latest in the year. The Sox division, the leader of the division was under 500. Every team in the division was the Twins were under 500. It's the latest a division-leading team has ever been under 500.
And I believe after this win, now the Cubs have a positive run differential, so I think they're the only team in the NL Central with a positive run differential. But everybody in the AL Central is negative run differential right now. So, yeah, definitely they're worse.
Yeah. Jack R.S. Stroh is the ace. I mean, he's healthy, and he leads a lot of pitching stats. He's among the top in a lot of different stats,
he and Steele have been 1A, 1B.
Yeah, I mean, you want me to sit here and pick apart different stats for you?
Oh, he's been the healthier guy.
Yeah, he's been healthy.
He leads the National League in pitcher WAR. He's like 2.3. Yeah, he's.
But at some point, this first half of the season, you could have said Steele was the ace too. But
easy. Yeah.
I think at the moment, like right now, you would say Stroman is your ace. Steele is.
I feel good with either one of them going out
1B.
there, right? But Stroman has kept any life in this team, because remember when he had the not the perfect game, the complete game shutout. Oh, hi. Remember he had the complete game shutout after they swept. They got swept by the Reds.
Yes.
He came out there in a game that the Cubs desperately needed and gave them. They won 1-0, and he literally won them the game, basically, like those kinds of starts. Like, he has done that every single time out. So that's why tomorrow we need it again, because you feel better going into Friday 3.5 back rather than 5.5 back.
And frankly, if you have a good team, you shouldn't know who the ace is, right? Like, it should be like that. When you have Lester and Arrieta, you don't care which one of them's pitching that game, right? Like, that's what a good team has. You have multiple really good starting pitchers that are having great seasons. Now, maybe one is having a better season or has been healthier, but to say that Stroman is the ace is not a knock on Steele, because Steele, by the end of the season, could be the ace. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
They're both pitching great.
Right.
One thing, the only negative I think I'd take from tonight was the update from David Ross saying We're going to find out more on Brennan Davis in a few days on what's going on. It's not his back, but he's been on the injured list for Iowa, and he's not hitting with the same power, basically, or anything hasn't been as good. But it has been a very strange season. Now, I know the guy was coming back from a lot and missed a whole year, but it hasn't been great.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious whatever that is going to show or tell us.
It's sad how far he's fallen, because now it's like I've
not impacting the ball the same way as the way Ross described it.
I've completely kind of like removed him from any type of like prospect, like major prospect. And like this guy was a top 15 prospect in baseball at the end of 2021. Like he was we thought
can't miss.
Yeah,
can't miss.
We thought that we were going to see him at the All-Star break. Going into last year, we thought we were going to see him at the All-Star break, and then that back injury came, and he just hasn't been able to get right in Iowa. And I feel for him. The only positive out of it, he's still very young. He's like 23 years old.
Yeah.
Like it's not like he's like Mervis and is 25, and it's like there's no point in having him in Iowa anymore. It's like. It seemed like he was ascending at the end of 2021, and he was going to be a big part of this outfield moving forward. And now he's played so bad to where he's not even really good trade bait unless the team is just like, well, he was a top prospect. Maybe if we can get him as a throw-in potentially, and maybe he can get right. Maybe a team could, would be interested in that. But like, I don't even think he's a good trade piece. And I thought with all these outfield
you don't want to sell low if you're selling that way. Kurt's saying he's where PCA is now. He might have been higher. He might have been a bigger prospect.
As far as like
close.
As far as like ranking is about the same right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, Kurt. Like it is like where PCA is right now. It's about where we all probably felt about Brennan Davis at the end of 2021. The only thing is that PCA hasn't played at AAA yet. I mean, in 2021, Brennan Davis went from South Bend to AAA, and like he just looked like an absolute stud that can't miss prospect.
Won the Futures Game MVP. Yeah, he was great. I mean,
I don't know.
Back surgery though at that age, I mean, you do have a chance to obviously recover from it. It's a scary thing, and I think that plays a lot into this Ian Happ extension. Really, I think that injury really was like, hey, we should.
But they're saying this isn't back related, and Niran in the chat on YouTube is reminding us too. It's a freak thing, and I like this part of what he said. Amaya went through the same thing. Yeah. Okay, so look, Amaya looks like he's coming back, and you kind of forget about the injuries a little bit. So
yeah. I'm not saying that I've completely given up on the guy. It's just more of like
it's totally on hold.
I'm not looking at him as like a guy that can
you're not
impact
looking
this team anytime
You're not
soon.
looking for him to impact this season at all.
Yeah.
At all.
I was optimistic that maybe at least we'd see him by the All-Star break this year. And it's like, dude's hitting below the Mendoza line in Iowa, and now he's on the IL down there.
Something's not right.
Something's not
right.
And
so that's what they're digging into, and I guess they'll find out.
Should know more by the end of the week, I think Jed said.
Yeah. So I hope it's whatever it is. I hope it's fixable.
Yeah.
And sooner rather than later. Did you guys notice today is the 25-year anniversary on Twitter? Everybody was talking about it. Of the Jordan shot over the Jazz, 6th championship. And, I mean, I would say that if it's not the Cubs winning the World Series, it's that. For me, like the biggest moment in Chicago sports history. 6 titles is 6 titles. 108 years is 108 years. So just like Stroman Steele, like that, I don't know which one you want to choose, but like that was, I would say as a Chicago sports fan, that was as good as it will ever get. Because it was 2 3-peats. Like you had the greatest player in the history of the game. The Cubs thing was a great season, and it was all, but you had to be a Cubs fan to enjoy it and sit through the 108 years. But is there anything else what moments in Cubs history would you put up against something like Jordan's shot? I mean, David Ross did hit. I'm not saying David Ross is Michael Jordan. Please don't confuse that. But he did hit a home run in his last at bat, right? So that was
one of the best relievers in the game at the time.
In Game 7.
In Game 7.
In Game 7. So he had his
I don't know. I feel
Michael Jordan light moment, if you want to say, but like
I still think the Zobrist hit in the extra innings is probably I would say that's the closest to that MJ moment ever. Because I would
say the final out is the closest thing to the shot.
You think so? Well, but
just because if you remember one play, if you could picture one play happening, it's like you can see that play over and over because that's the one you're going to see more often. But the shot is just like.
Yeah, I was going to say I could picture that one, and I can remember the Miguel Montero grand slam, and I know that's not the World Series, but it's really those two plays and like that playoff run that I know it doesn't compare.
No, I don't. I think it is sort of apples to watermelons.
Yeah.
Right, like it's just like it's not a super comparable thing. I was just curious if we could think of anything.
Is this just a Cubs thing, or is this a Chicago sports thing? Because
any Chicago sports thing.
Seabrook's goal in Game 7 against the Red Wings was unbelievable.
Yeah, but it's not Michael Jordan's shot over the Jazz for 6 titles.
But it was you were down 3-1.
No, it was a big moment. You're right. Big moment. Yeah, you're right.
It's hard to beat that because when Jordan hit the shot, you
Rachel, don't do me like that. That's wrong. She says Luke thinks David Ross's baseball is Michael Jordan. You heard it here first. It's 4:30 in the morning there, Rachel. Go back to sleep.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
That's right. Don't let the facts get in the way
Brennan
of a good story.
says the one player who reminds me most of Michael Jordan is Nico Horner. That's so on brand.
All right.
That's funny.
Let me tell you about Shady Rays. Take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead this summer with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays, an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair I've ever worn, durable frames, and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. That's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us to send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase them. Together with their customers, Shady Rays providing much-needed support to nonprofit partners as well across the U.S. through Shady Rays Impact, from building play sets for pediatric cancer patients to providing young adults with MS the outdoor adventure of a lifetime. Shady Rays is making an impact in your community and others like it now for years to come. If you don't love your Shady Rays, exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. No risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. Exclusively for our CHGO listeners, pay attention. Shady Rays giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com right now and use the code CHGO. You'll get 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by more than 250,000 people. And you need your Shady Rays when you've got good ComEd energy efficiency program lights. It's committed to helping families and businesses in the communities they serve help manage energy usage and lower energy bills now and into the future.
Yeah, ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across the territory. ComEd also offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities like for HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes.
How's it work, Cody?
Well, an authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. Within 3 to 4 weeks, customers will receive a report detailing energy efficiency projects that they can start working on immediately. Each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, cost savings, project costs, potential incentives, and simple payback. If you own a business, don't wait. Get started saving money and energy today. For energy saving tips, lighting incentives, or to schedule your free facility assessment, go to comed.com/poweringbiz.
Wait a minute, Cody. Did you say comed.com/poweringbiz?
Yeah, Luke. Schedule it today. You love that ending, don't you?
I do that. It really nailed it.
I felt like that was my best Luke Stuckmeyer impression.
Nathan says, wow, those ad reads really remind me how much I agree with Luke. Thank you. I appreciate that. No Hawaiian shirt tonight, but I believe Herrera is ready at Wrigley Field.
Yeah, what's up?
Ryan?
How's it going?
Wow, how about that comeback?
That was a
surprising
comeback that's one that felt like even this team, like, last week may not have come back from, right? Like that series in Anaheim was really kind of a down series. But it's reminiscent of what some of the things they were able to do that first like 3 to 4-ish weeks of the season when the offense was kind of, working. The offense was hitting, right? The offense was actually pretty good at that point in time. And, we saw this extended cold stretch that they've gone on over the last month plus. A lot of that has had to do with the offense just not being what it was when they started the year. And, it's only 2 games. They have won 4 of their last 5 for sure. But this is only 2 games against the Pirates, 2 pretty important games as far as the standings go. But yeah, it's a little bit of surprise. They got down 5-1. You didn't really know what to expect. And then all of a sudden they go off for 6 in an inning to kick off that comeback. So, it's a good win for them. And they obviously won the series. And, getting the sweep has kind of been the Achilles heel for the Cubs this season. But 2 really good games to start off the homestand and get a couple games back on the first place Pirates. And, obviously a really good win for that team, especially picking up Drew Smyly, who – had been pretty good for the entire season. Got hit hard a little bit tonight, but the offense is there to pick him up.
Man, they stole a win. Cody did a 10-second beer bat chug. You missed that, Ryan. It was something else.
9 seconds.
Some are saying 9. Some counters had it at 9 seconds. It was very impressive. A 3-1-2 chug. And now a chance, like you said, to sweep with Stroman on the mound, the ace. I know you've had a lot of work going on at Wrigley Field today. Jed Hoyer talked, David Ross talked, Carter Hawkins was in the booth. We mentioned the Brennan Davis thing. I was curious if there was any talk about Stroman's tweet. Did anybody ask about Stroman? I'm just curious. Myself, I'm curious what was said by Jed Hoyer or David Ross. And then between us, I'm just curious how it's going to, if it will have any impact on Stroman tomorrow. Like, has he put a little extra pressure on himself with a comment like that? What was said at the ballpark today?
Well, Jed was asked about it. He kind of chose not to really comment on it, but he acknowledged it. And one thing he made clear was that, he loves the fact that Stroman does want to be there, or does want to remain a Cub. Says, they've had some conversations about it. Just didn't want to disclose. Just want to keep all that stuff in house is kind of what Jed's MO is at this point with Stroman. And, we've talked about it, when Hap signed his contract, right? Like that, Jed kind of straight up said he didn't see them really negotiating any more in-season extensions with anyone. And, now Stroman's is kind of a weird thing just with the opt-out, especially as far as contract extensions goes. It's a little bit more unusual. Obviously Jed hasn't ruled out extending Stroman. It's just something that he wants to keep in-house, that the Cubs want to keep in-house, and whether they have discussions or not with Stroman at any point in the next month and a couple weeks, that remains to be seen. But to him, it's not going to be something that he wants to talk to us about.
He doesn't have to.
I'm not surprised that you said any of that. I mean, there's nothing. I still think it's you have to leave your options open thing. We're gonna find out if they're gonna extend Stroman or not if he makes it past the August deadline. That's it. That's why the Cubs got to start winning games, and winning 4 out of 5 is a good start. So
he's gonna be amped up at Wrigley Field tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, the vibes will be skyrocketing.
And of course, he obviously sent that tweet out when he's playing his best baseball. He's pitching great. It's good timing on his part.
The only thing about the Stroman tweet that I guess you could say I respected or I understood was that he literally said he wanted to get ahead of the narrative where people start to put words out there saying that Stroman doesn't want to be here, all this type of stuff. And he literally said that he wants to be here and all the things that Cubs fans want to hear. So that's why he was on Twitter shitting on all the New York media that said that he didn't want to be here. So you hate to see that.
Ryan, what else was said at the ballpark? What are you working on for ALLCHGO.com?
Yeah, so what I'm working on, just kind of compiling all the different topics that Jed talked about. It was a lot. One thing we talked about Kyle Hendricks, and I don't think we've talked about Kyle on the pod because his start was on Friday. I want to say Friday or Saturday was Hendricks' 7 2/3 no-hit innings. But that Jed kind of went back to, the whole shutting down Kyle, capsular tear, slowing him down, spring training, like really taking their time with it. And he just kind of said, like, there was obviously some level of concern that, like, kind of, it may not work, right? Like, just with a guy on the older side like Kyle is, whenever you're talking about shoulder injuries for a pitcher, it's like it's always concern in there. And so Jed kind of talked about how they did have that kind of concern just because there had to be with that level of injury. But fortunately, it appears they've done that plan the right way, that they brought Kyle back at the right pace. They didn't rush him. They had the right kind of program going for him. So once he could come back, maybe get a couple ticks on the velocity and try to be that pitcher that he has been in the past. And, even a few years ago, 2020, it's like kind of the last time full season where he was really, that's not even a full season, but the last time he really looked like himself for more than like a 10 start stretch or so. So yeah, Jed talked about that. And I think just with Kyle, it appears that things are going well, and that no hit bid was obviously a positive sign in the right direction. And I think for everyone that kind of counted out Kyle Hendricks or just didn't understand the program, the extended program that they had him going on in his recovery, I think this is one of those signs where you look at it like for all the things that the Cubs front office and whatever gets criticized for, like, this is something that appears they did the right way.
You can read Ryan's stuff, by the way, allchgo.com, Barb. We don't like to say we're in competition with some other media outlet. I like to say, as a Cubs fan, if I see or hear something good, I want to tell you where to go get it. Mm-hmm. I heard Waddle and Sylvie with Jesse Rogers, who was on our podcast the other day, do a great interview with Kyle Hendricks today while I was driving in, and he admitted a couple things. One, that he and his agent have discussed the fact that, hey, man, it's possible I could get traded here at the end of the season. That is a possibility, and he accepts that. Two was that he actually heard from Rizzo, Hayward, Wilson Contreras, and a bunch of other former teammates after that last outing, just calling him up and sending messages and, like,
oh, that's awesome.
Really being, like, happy for him about that, and that he understands it's a business. He understands he could get traded, but he also is a guy who really wants to be here and is super excited about the way he feels, and that game gave him hope because, like the Cubs, he also admitted he wasn't sure if it was going to work.
Yeah, the whole thing, the Hendricks contract situation is so different compared to the rest of them because, let's be real, like, he just hasn't been that great.
No, but it's a team option. That's an affordable deal. If he pitches well, that's...
Like, so I think that if he pitches well going the deadline and the Cubs, like we keep saying, find themselves back in this division race, which they'll be 3.5 back tomorrow if they win, right? Like, obviously, I don't think they're going to trade him unless things just completely really fall apart and you're not in it. And so then you go in the offseason and see what happens. We talk about all these young arms the Cubs have, right? But, like, you just don't know. Like, the only really young arm that they have down there that I'm like, this guy is going to shove for us one day, and I feel very confident about it, is Cade Horton. And that's because he is number one pick of, not number one overall, but first-round pick, best college pitcher that came out of the draft last year. And we're not going to see him for a couple years. That doesn't mean I'm not high on a lot of the other guys, but, like, as we've talked about, there's a lot of, like, we've seen ups and downs. Wesneski's been a roller coaster. Ben Brown hasn't got that chance yet, but do you expect him to come up here and do exactly what he did in Iowa every single time he goes out? I doubt it. And, there's a handful of others that have had ups and downs in the minors this year. We haven't heard a lot about Porter Hodge, who was great last year. Luis Devers he's been nowhere to be found. I think he was on the developmental list for a lot of the time. That's not necessarily his fault. But, like, again, as Theo said, development's not always linear. So you just can't expect a lot of those young arms to just come up and just take Kyle Hendricks' role and excel right away. I do think that those guys are really going to deserve a shot at some point, especially some of these guys who are going to be closer, like a Ben Brown and Wisniewski. I expect Wisniewski to have higher expectations next year and stuff like that. But, like, Kyle Hendricks is when he's right, he is one of the most underrated pitchers in the game. And
he's one of the best Cubs pitchers of all time.
You can argue it, yes. Yeah. And so, like,
I'm not saying he's the best, but he's one of them.
I want to see him be healthy, and I want to see him be consistent. If he can do that, then I can talk myself into thinking that it's a good idea to keep him around after this year.
So. Ryan, quick question before we go. What are guys saying in the clubhouse or around the ballpark about the Palatine Pounder?
I think pretty much everyone we asked about Tauchman especially after that catch, right? Like, that was impressive. That was for a guy that hasn't played a ton of ball games at Wrigley Field, like knowing where the outfield was, knowing how much room he had, or knowing where the outfield wall was, knowing how much room he had to make that catch, making the catch, hitting the ivy and getting that ball back in. Like, that was a really impressive catch. I think, pretty much everyone we talked to kind of said that was like kind of the game-saving play, right? Like, without that, that probably ties the game. If he doesn't catch that, it probably ties the game. So I think everyone's just been really impressed with the kind of at-bats he's putting together. The on-base percentage leads the team, and he's getting closer to, I think he's above 80 plate appearances now. So he's getting to a point where, like, the sample is big enough where you can feel good about it, I guess, is the best way to put it. But he's giving them good at-bats at the top of the order. He's not chasing the whole lot. He's taking his walks, and he's playing fine defense out there. It may not be Gold Glove defense in center field. He may not be the center fielder that Cody Bellinger can be. But he's doing his best and filling in admirably, and I think everyone appreciates that, especially when we're going on a month now since Cody Bellinger has been out, and he's just done a good job of filling in, and maybe he doesn't have the slug that Cody Bellinger has, but he's doing a lot of things, especially this last stretch since he's been batting leadoff to help the team win ball games, and that's about all he could have asked for a guy who didn't even make the team out of spring training. Right.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Jordan Bastian from MLB.com tweeted a great quote from David Ross on Tauchman making that catch in the 7th that saved the game. Like, let's be real. He saved the game. The quote saying, "Those type of plays are the ones that kind of help us stay in and not get down that little bit of a rut where you feel like, here we go again sometimes. Like we get a lead and then you give it back. That catch right there saved us." So literally, David Ross said that he saved him, and he did. It was an unreal catch. It really was.
And he had a great one the other day too.
If he didn't make that catch, people would have been in here yelling about Fulmer, and then I would have had to go down the rant on how it wasn't Fulmer's fault. But I'm glad we didn't have to do that.
Let's get to who you got. Who you got before we go real quick?
On Fulmer,
I love this.
Who did everybody have? Who did everybody have tonight? I had Nico Horner, so I am out.
I had Madrigal.
Ryan had Mervis.
Yeah, I think Mervis walked once.
Mm-hmm.
Madrigal
had
had
a deep fly ball.
2 walks.
Dansby went 3 for 4, I believe.
It was Dansby.
And Saya had
Dansby.
About
big double.
Brennan gets the win.
What about the producer pick Gomes? Gomes had a pretty good night.
No,
I think it's Dansby. 3 for 4, right? It's Dansby. If somebody had Tauchman, I would have said Tauchman.
Listen, I don't care about winning who you got. All I know is that the Cubs are 4-0 when I take Barnhart and Madrigal since Friday.
Cody's turned the whole thing around.
One might say I'm manifesting W's. So, whatever. We ride tomorrow. Put them in there, Ross. I'll take them.
If the Arlington Heights assassin is leading off tomorrow night, I'm going to try and get him for my pick.
I don't blame you.
I'm putting that down right now. But we'll see how that works out.
One more thing
yes.
before we leave. So they've gotten back-to-back games, 10-plus runs. First time they've done that since August 25th. Like the 2 games at the end of August 2021, both those were losses somehow. First time they've gotten 10-plus runs in consecutive wins since mid-September 2019 when they swept the Pirates. So they could match it tomorrow.
Wow.
And how about some home runs tomorrow, please?
Yeah, let's get
use some extra base.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'd like to see some balls leave the yard.
I can't emphasize how important tomorrow's game is. This might be the most important game in June.
Cody's putting a lot of pressure on himself.
Like, I can't think of a more important game in June since probably at least 5 years. I can't.
It's the most important game since Jordan hit the shot 25 years ago.
The Cubs got to win tomorrow. You're going to feel better going in the series against Baltimore if you're 3.5 back in the Central rather than 5.5. Win tomorrow, please, for all of us that have just been sitting here riding this roller coaster and are about to throw up.
And only 79 likes. Please get us to 100 on your way out. And on your way out, also check out allchgo.com. Ryan will have an article for you right there. Absolutely. And we will see you back here for the post-game show tomorrow. Thanks to everybody in the chat. We had a good time. Hope to have a good time tomorrow. Absolutely. When hopefully the Cubs pull off a sweep. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. Until tomorrow's show, fly the W.